Hi everybody, this is Kevin and welcome back to another anime review. And today I would like to share my thoughts on the Elf Reincarnation arc of the Black Clover anime, which I said in my last review that according to the Wikipedia page, it consists of episodes 94 to 157, and I watched it all. I've actually concluded the series. I watched all the way up to episode 170 because after watching all that, I said, I got 13 more episodes left, let's just finish it. And really, it does get good from this point on. Like, every episode is a banger, man, I'm telling you. Even the filler episodes I enjoyed. And that's just it. The Elf Reincarnation arc, in my opinion, is basically episode 94 to 124, and then after that, there's sort of a mixture of filler and training prior to the final arc, because 123 and 124 is essentially a two-part filler where it recaps everything that happened with this particular arc here, and then, we got filler and training. So I watched it all just to know what the hell was going on, and I couldn't stop watching. That's why I'm just doing this video now, because I was, the past couple of days, just fucking watching Black Clover all day. But anyway, let's talk about it. So I can't show any clips or anything like that. I have pictures to share with you, but I can't show any clips because I like copyright bullshit, because TV Tokyo goes down on you, even for 20-second little openings that I was doing for a while, but what are you going to do? Anyway, so where we left off, we had Patri, who was using the body of William Vengeance, who was masquerading as Licht, but is really Patri. It's a little confusing, but when you watch it, you'll understand. He had just murdered Julius Novachrono, the Wizard King, and what had happened, not due to Julius's lack of skill, but he basically was about to murder the entire population of the Clover Kingdom, and Julius wields time magic, and you saw his grimoire. It's basically like a giant book floating in the sky with no cover, with endless pages, and he controls the flow of time. So what he had done was he basically reversed time so that all the people of the kingdom were safe, and in turn it made him vulnerable, and he used a hell of a lot of magic to do that, and Patri stabbed him. So of course Julius was doing this battle alone, because what had happened is William Vengeance had told Yami to meet him at the Golden Dawn, to have a meeting or whatever. And Yami was there waiting for hours when he's like, this is really fishy. We got to find out what the hell's going on. And then he sees all this great flash of light in the sky, and it's, all the light arrows coming down, raining down on all the people of the Clover Kingdom. So Yami swoops in, but he was too late, because at that very moment, Patri murdered Julius. So Yami and Patri have a little bit of a battle, but then, he scurries away to do his evil plans. And Julius and Yami have a heart-to-heart there, with Julius basically saying, yo, Yami, you must see that the kingdom is safe. It's in your hands now. And it's a really touching moment right there. And then after that, it cuts to inside the Eye of the Midnight Sun, where basically, the royal knights led by Mereoleona were battling, members of the Eye of the Midnight Sun who have since been reincarnated as elves. You had the leader there, Raya, who was in control, and of course, he was a member of the Third Eye, consisting of Veto and Fauna, who were since revived due to the magic, due to acquiring all the magical stones. And slowly but surely, because, the elves are being revived, their souls are taking root in our heroes' bodies, and they start turning against each other. And I'll show you this picture right here. We have Mereoleona going up against, you see the four right there, well, five, but the four wearing the cloaks are the former royal knights who have turned because they are reincarnated as elves. And then all the way to the left with the white shirt is Raya, who has since rejuvenated his powers. And with the elf, it's basically a forbidden magic. They increase their magical attributes. But Mereoleona holds her own against these five. And I don't quite know. The one in the middle there is part of the Blue Rose Knights. And the top right one with the white hair is Rill, the captain of the Aqua Deer. But I'm not too sure about the other two. Now, mind you, a captain versus a captain, pretty strong. But she's holding her own, and actually does well for a while. And she sends Asta and Zora away. She's like, you two get out of here. You got to live on. Find out if the others are okay. I'll hold them off. And they leave for a bit, but Asta's like, we can't leave her. We got to go. And Zora's like, come on, kid. You can't handle it. Because Zora's not really particularly strong. He uses trap magic, which, is good if he plans ahead, but fighting five powerful mages like that, there's no way. And then, of course, Asta uses the anti-magic sword, so he has no magic. And going against five, it's pretty overwhelming. So what happens is Mereoleona's, like I said, holding her own. She gets her ass beat. And Asta and Zora return because Asta can't leave her. And they have a plan in which basically they use Zora's trap magic to absorb the magical blast from everybody. and then he reflects it back at Asta, to which Asta reflects it back at Zora to like power it up even more, and they have like a little volleyball game, you know, continuing to power up the attack when Asta finally hits Raya. And before this whole battle started, they had actually defeated Raya before the reincarnation process happened, and Asta was saying, you know, we can all live together. You know, I'm a commoner. Well, I'm from the Forsaken Realm. Zora's a commoner. You know, we can all work together with the royals. And the elves have a thing against the royals and the humans in particular because they were betrayed. But I'll get to that later in this video. So, in the midst of all that, we cut back to Yami, who's trying to protect the kingdom because, like I said, everyone is being turned to elves. I guess any sort of connection they had to the elves, I didn't quite understand, but, you know, some of the people who look similar, because you see as they defeat the elves who are taking over their bodies, like the spirits look similar to those who they're possessing. So Yami is sort of defending himself, and he starts battling against Charlotte of the Blue Rose Knights, who has a thing for Yami, and, you know, they have a little funny back and forth because Yami's like, oh, prickly princess, it's so good to see you, and she's just beating the crap out of him, and then Soul shows up, who is like the underling, not the vice captain of the Blue Rose Knights, but, you know, the one that you always see with Charlotte, and she always says, oh, hey, Char, and Charlotte's, oh, call me captain, you know, she's all proper. So Yami's able to pretty much knock her unconscious. He doesn't kill her or anything, of course, and he has the body of the Wizard King, which he enveloped in sort of like a dark magic to, I don't know, try to keep him alive. We'll get to that later, too. So he gives the body to Soul and says, you know, take care of the Wizard King. I gotta go and find out what the hell is going on here. And then it cuts back to inside the, you know, floating fortress of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, and we have everyone basically turning on each other. You had Mimosa's group, who consisted of Klaus, Yuno, and a few others, and they all turn to elves, everyone except for Mimosa, and they all start trying to attack her. But the only one who's not doing anything is Yuno. And they're in the room where Lick's body is, because that was the main goal, to revive Lick, the leader. And they all start attacking, and Yuno's the only one not to do anything until, you know, after all the chaos erupts, Asta and Zora get Mereoleona to safety, and they go back in looking for more, and they make their way to that room, protect Mimosa, and Yuno and Asta team up to face off against all the elf reincarnated bodies, and then eventually against Lick. And there's an epic scene with the opening theme, the first opening theme, which is played a few times through the epic battles. I think it played in the very first episode when Asta got his grimoire. It played when they defeated Veto to Despair, and it plays again here. And it's just so cool because Yuno has like his elf increased powers, and then Asta takes his demon form, really his devil form. We'll get to that later too. I keep foreshadowing because I know what happens, so I'm trying not to spoil it too much in this particular review, but you know, they don't necessarily kill Lick, but they defeat him, and they get all the people who haven't been infected with the elf curse outside, consisting of Nozel, the leader of the Silver Eagles, and also Noel, of course, and a few others, and they all regroup and say, oh, we need to go back to Clover Kingdom and defend it. So what happens is it also cuts, a lot of cuts here to a lot of the action scenes going on. It cuts to the Crimson Lion King's area, and you got Leopold, who is defending his home and his country there from Randall, the vice captain who's been infected and turned into an elf. And he's making quick work of everybody because, you know, he's a vice captain. He's second in command to Mereoleona. And they're all getting overwhelmed when all of a sudden you get this epic scene. It goes to the hospital where Frigolion has been passed out for, God, over 60 episodes because he got his arm chopped off. He's been passed out in a coma. And all of a sudden, his chopped off arm starts blazing. Like, he gets like a fucking flame arm, and he's ready for battle. I'll show you right here. And he gets the power of the salamander. This is the best picture I could get, because the animation for Black Clover isn't really the best. I mean, it has the soul and the fact that the music is awesome, and I really enjoy the story. But as far as the animation, people have made fun of it for not being the best. But, you know, it was fucking epic with the music and everything. I wish I could show you a video, but I really can't. And Frigolion comes to save his brother Leopold and protect his fellow kinmen of the Crimson Lion Kings, and it's just a great scene there. So eventually everyone regroups, and they see what's known as the Shadow Palace, which is what Patri summoned, and they have to assemble the 10 apostles of the Sephiroth, or something like that. Is it called the 10? Let's see. Yeah, the apostles of the Sephiroth. Yeah, there's like a lot of religious names and things like that in this series. It's almost like Sephiroth, right, from Final Fantasy. But anyway, they make their way there, and Yami ends up teaming up with Jack, Jack the Ripper. And he's just so badass. Like, he's the captain of the Green Praying Mantis, and he gets like these things where he uses slicing magic. He's like, I'm gonna slice everyone I see. I'll slice them till they're dead. And Yami's like, listen, Jack, we can't kill our own men. I know that they're turning into elves, but they're still good people. I'm gonna slice them all up. So all this is going on. And meanwhile, you had the three stooges of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, consisting of Rades, Valtos, and Sally, who were actually murdered by Patri after their usefulness was served. And Rades has the ability to reanimate the dead, or create corpses. So, despite the fact that he kills them, he reincarnates himself and revives Valtos and Sally, too. And he screams, "Licht! Patri, whatever your name is, I'm gonna kill you!" It's so awesome, dude. So they're running there trying to go after him, and eventually they turn into unlikely allies, which is pretty funny. So you also have the Black Bulls. Back at the headquarters, you have Gordon, Gray, Gauche, and Henry, who were in the battle with Rades, Valtos, and Sally, and didn't do so well. But they're like, oh, we got to regroup and get ready for the battle. And left out Luck. He was turned into an elf, and Magna had went on his own training. And while he's out in the woods training, to become stronger because he's rivals with Luck, Vanessa runs into him, and they come across Luck attacking a village. So Magna and Vanessa have to stop the kid, which they do. Asta eventually regroups, but I'm getting ahead of myself again because there's a million episodes and so much to talk about. But so after the battle with Asta and going up against Licht, they say, oh, we got to go back to the Clover Kingdom, and they regroup with Nozel and Noel and Merliona and all of them, and they make their way to the kingdom. But Asta and see that Haj village is under attack because they fly by it. Nozel, the leader of the Silver Eagles, summons this giant eagle that they're flying on, and they see Haj village under attack. And and Asta go there to protect, the father and Sister Lily and all their friends from the village. And one of the little boys is actually putting up a fight against the elf there, which is a great scene. He's like, I have to protect him, and he gets flashbacks to like Asta's training and stuff. And they end up fighting and defending the village. And at this point, Asta actually acquires a new sword. It's a sword that's able to suck away evil magic because the father, the priest there, is poisoned by the evil elf. And Asta is able to use the sword to draw the poison out, and they protect them. And you just see like the look in the eyes of Sister Lily and the priest of how happy they are that their adopted sons have grown into such wonderful men. And just a really heartfelt scene right there. And then they make their way back. And at that point, Asta converges with Vanessa and Magna, who are fighting Luck. And, they do a crazy battle there. Asta uses his sword to basically take the elf spirit out of Luck. And then there's a great moment with Luck and Magna. After Magna's battle, he has the mohawk, his hair's all fucked up, and he starts like crying, he's bleeding over the place, and Luck's crying too, and they embrace for a hug, and it's just a great moment there. Like, I was getting pretty choked up there, because Luck's like, I'm so sorry, Magna, can I still be in the Black Bulls? I didn't mean it. It's just a sad scene, and really, like, the whole Black Bull dynamic, the whole family dynamic they have is fantastic. So eventually, the Raging Bull, and I mentioned with the horrible CGI animation, it turns into a bull that starts running across, making its way to the Clover Kingdom to aid in the battle. And at this point, Gauche and what's the little girl's name? Marie turn into elves, and they start wreaking havoc. So they got to fight against their own. And you have Charmy, who when they turn into elves, they have like these markings on their face, and they see Charmy in the woods, and she has this marking on her face. They're like, oh god, Charmy turned into an elf, but really it's like ketchup or some kind of food on her face, and she's all pissed off because someone destroyed her food and she's not having it, so she starts getting into battle. And they eventually turn Gauche and Marie back to normal, and then another one of the captains appears, Dorothy, who uses like sleeping magic, and she sends them all into this vortex where they are slowly but surely falling asleep. And eventually they defeat her. They like slash through and make their way out. And it's funny, too, because Charmy has, like, the food recovery magic. Basically, if everyone keeps eating, they keep replenishing their magic. And Vanessa has the cat Rouge, which has the fate of destiny. So, as long as she has this cat, they can, like, keep evading attacks. So, they're, like, pretty OP characters, despite the fact that they don't really fight much. So, anyway, they all make their way into the Shadow Palace, as it's called. And not really all of them. You have Asta makes his way in there. Yuno makes his way in there. Yami, of course. Charmy makes her way in because she's in love with Yuno, so she, of course, has to make her way in. And then, at this point, Rades and Valtos and Sally all form a pack, like, yeah, fuck Licht, let's kill Licht. So, in the midst of all this, they're all in there, and then we have this crazy-ass scene where they're all, like, conspiring, all the apostles of Sephiroth are, you know, speaking to each other. You have this one character, which I'll show you, I didn't get a picture, but I have the Wikipedia page up. This one character here named Rone, right? Let me see. A little technical stuff going on here, but what are you gonna do? So Rone here shows up, and he kind of looks like Ghost, but he isn't. And he shows up, and he doesn't really say much, right? And he just starts, like, he murders one of the guys there, and it turns out that Rone is the big bad of this entire arc, the devil himself. Zagred. Look at this fucker. So this guy shows up, and he's the big bad of the whole arc, and essentially had everything planned all, and we get sort of flashback scenes with Zagred, who was the one who influenced everyone, and what had happened was Patri believed that the humans killed the elves way back when, going back 600 years ago, and there was a relationship between Lumiere, who was the first Wizard King, the prince. His name is actually Lumiere Silva Vermilion. He is like a mixture of everyone's names, the royal family names all together. And there was like a pact between them all, and Tetia, his sister, was to marry Licht. And they were all ready to go, had the wedding arranged. And all of a sudden, one day, there was like these light arrows that came down and killed everyone in the whole elf village. And they believed it was Lumiere who did it, when in all actuality, Zagred, the devil, was there and sort of corrupted everybody. And there was a battle between Licht, who was affected by Zagred, and Lumiere. That was like the opening they always see, like the first Wizard King battling the demon. That was actually the infected Licht. And after the battle, you know, a lot of crazy shit happened. So, again, with more crazy shit happening, you have the bird, Nero, right? So, this is the bird that's been on Asta's head the entire time. And eventually, it cuts to a scene with Finral in amongst all the battle. And Nero pecking on Finral's head and says to take him to where the first Wizard King did battle. And they have to place all these magical stones in the Wizard King to revive him. At that point, Nero turns into a human, Sekre, which is like, holy shit, dude. And you sort of see the resemblance in the fact they both have horns on their heads. And basically, she uses a forbidden magic called sealing magic. And she was the one who sealed Zagred away over 600 years ago, until the time came that the elves reincarnated using forbidden magic yet again. And the dude showed up and just crazy shit. So she gets the body. They go to basically the statue of where Lumiere, the first Wizard King, was. And you know, they essentially revive him for a short while to do battle against Zagred. And with that battle, it consists of, I'm going to show you this guy again just because he's so crazy. It consists of a few guys taking him on one at a time. Like you have Licht trying to take him on. You have Patri. You have Lumiere trying to fight him. Yami's trying to fight him for an instant. Yuno and Asta. And no one's really getting anywhere. And the guy is just OP as hell. He uses word soul magic, which essentially anything he says he can manifest. Like one of his big attacks he keeps saying is Tempester of Blades, and he summons like all these swords raining down. And then he uses the word soul magic, which is essentially like if you would play, they always have these urban legends, if you play a song backwards it sounds all demonic, and it's literally like blah, 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 blah. And it's like holy shit, it's so creepy, dude. Again, I'd like to play a clip of his voice because it's just so creepy. But you see his picture right there. So eventually with the final battle, you have, well, here I am again, ahead of myself again, but I have this right here to show you. So Noelle, she also has a transformation in her battle. She's doing battle protecting her family because one of the elves is ready to basically kill her brother and sister, and she shows up and uses this Valkyrie armor. And there's a good heart-to-heart with her brother, Nozel, basically saying that he sent her to the Black Bowls because he didn't want to see her die because she looks just like her mother. And, her mother passed away. And they had said that she had passed away because, Noelle was born. It's all her fault. But really, we learned about that later. But, great scene. And just seeing her in action, Noelle really shining. Sorry I left that out. But anyway, back to Zagreb. So the final epic battle, everyone's getting their ass kicked by this dude. And Yami, he really steps up. He's in another room with, what's her name? Charlotte, who's working with him now as an elf because there's a greater enemy. And he's trying to charge his attack, and he has a flashback with basically a conversation he had with Julius way back when, because Julius was actually the captain of the Aqua Deer and had both William and Yami become new captains to the Golden Dawn, to the Black Bulls. And just as Yami he shakes Julius's hand in the flashback, he drops his fucking cigarette, right? You've never seen that happen. He always has a cigarette in his mouth. And he cuts through Charlotte's healing attack that she has, and he uses the monozone for the first time. He's like, monozone, dark magic, dimension slash, equinox, and it's so fucking epic, dude. And he cuts through all these different barriers and slices right through Zagreb, and then Zagred's like, no, dark magic can interfere with the other world, curse that human. To which he just completely goes berserk. He starts growing all these eyes on his body, and he's like, perish, die, disappear. And he's grabbing both Yuno and Asta, and then Yuno's like, no, you first. And he cuts off fucking Zagred's arm. And then I'd mentioned Nero, rather. She uses sealing magic, so she uses sealing recovery magic Faint Omen on Asta, which seals away his wounds. I mean, he still has the wounds, but I guess the pain goes away. And Asta powers up for a final attack because he gets inspired, too. After he sees Yami's attack, he goes, oh, it's Captain Yami's key! And while all this is going on, dude, the first opening theme is playing again. It's so fucking epic. Oh my god, just incredible. So, our heroes prevail. The ending battle was fucking awesome. Just Zagreb, dude. I was having nightmares watching this, dude. So, I know this is a bit of a rambling video, and who the hell knows? If you watch the series, you probably know what I'm talking about. Just so much to talk about in this series, and a lot of great stuff. So, after everything's done, everyone reincarnates. The, Patri actually lives on. Patri, Raya, Veto, and Fauna all live on, because Rades, he can reincarnate corpses or whatever. He doesn't want them to die. He wants them to suffer in the real world, and they go about their way and live happily ever after. And meanwhile, they have to fix the Clover Kingdom after all the carnage that's unfolded. And then you see Julius is actually alive, but because he uses time magic, he's 10 or 13 years old. He's a little boy. It's hilarious. So they have the guy Owen, who's the doctor, all wrapped up in bandages, and he's sort of playing the role as the Wizard King now, and just all sorts of crazy stuff. So the fact is, Asta has a devil as well, because after Zagreb was killed, Asta's devil is like, ha ha ha, laughing that he's dead, and then Zagred's questioning, who are you? So days pass, they're trying to fix up the kingdom, and they're actually called into trial by Dominante, or Damnatio rather. That's the brother, or maybe, let's see, because it's some kind of character in relation to the king. Let me see here. Alright, so yeah, Damnatio. He's like the judge, jury, and executioner of the Clover Kingdom. And he is a nobleman of the Kira family. I think he's related to the king or whatever. Anyway, he's got the same name. But he shows up and he has the scales of justice. And they're going to try Asta because, well, Asta has devil powers too. So it's all his fault because he's the devil. And he's ready to send them all to jail. Both him, Sekre, and Marie, the little girl. And then the Black Bulls come and crash the trial. And like I said, you see the horrible CGI of the mechanical Black Bull back there. That's Henry in there. But just the whole crew, just the whole band of misfits right there. Oh, man, so good. So it ends with that. They basically have to go and find out about this devil called Mergicula, which is wreaking havoc in the Spade Kingdom. And that's where I'll leave it with this video because it went on 25 minutes. A lot of rambling nonsense, but just so much stuff to get onto. Basically, the whole point of this video is watch Black Clover for yourself because there are a lot of highs in the series. I think it's awesome. I'll tell you, so when the dude shows up, it's episode 115, Mastermind, to like 120. That's the whole battle of Zagreb. It's multi-part battle. And just seeing the final attack, look that up, the final attack, because I think Crunchyroll has it uploaded. I can't use it in my video, but of course Crunchyroll can use it. That's what I'm talking about, the battle with Yami using Monozone, Equinox. It's fucking awesome, dude. I loved it. So, I can't recommend the series enough. I've already seen all the way up to episode 170, the conclusion of the series. That's why it's sort of a rambling mess, because this isn't as fresh in my head, because I just kept binge watching. I couldn't stop watching. So, my next review will be talking about like the filler and training arcs leading up to the final arc. So, stay tuned for them coming soon. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day, everybody.